Here we are inside the 2020 Adria 622 Dart. If we come to the control panels just above the entrance door, you'll see we have the master switch just here. So if we flick this, we will now turn the 12 volt on. It will then give us a display of the condition of the leisure battery just here. We then have control over all of the main lights in the van, and they can all be individually turned on and off on their own switches. Beside the master switch, we then have the water pump switch. Water pump needs to be on so we can get water out of the taps, fill the boiler up if it's been drained. And then lastly up here we have the controlled panel for the Truma heating and hot water. At the moment it's just displaying the time, and it's also letting us know that we have main supply connected to the caravan. If I now press the button, it'll bring up a series of icons, and as I rotate they will begin to flash. So if we start with the first icon here, this one is for your heating. So if I now click on that, we'll see that heating is off, and all we now do is just rotate the button until we pick a temperature that we would like it to be inside the caravan. So let's say we would like it to be 30 degrees in here at the moment. Click on it, and that is now stored in. You'll now see a little flame has appeared above. That little flame there just represents the heating system, and it's just letting you know that you've set a parameter. Whenever the heating is actually in operation, the flame will begin to flash. It will now continue to flash until it has achieved the temperature you've asked it to. The thermostat for the heating is just here. After heating, if we then move across to the next icon, we have hot water. So hot water is off, and now all we do is rotate the button again. We can heat hot water in eco mode, which will give us a temperature of about 40 degrees. We can put it in hot, which will give us a water temperature of about 60 degrees. And we can also perform a boost on the boiler. The boost is extremely handy if there's going to be more than one of you having a shower in quick succession of each other. If you do perform the boost on the boiler and the heating is running, it will turn the heating off because it needs to take the power to be able to do it. So if we now drop it down to 40, and you'll now see both icons are flashing, and once temperature is achieved they will go to a solid state. After this we then have power source selection. So we're currently using, with the little display of gas bottle up here, gas. If I now click, we can take it out of gas and we can put it into dual fuel mode. So we're then using a mixture of the gas bottle and mains electricity at 1 kilowatt, or a mixture of gas and mains at 2 kilowatt. Dual fuel is extremely handy, especially in the winter months if you want to get up to temperature nice and quickly. It will only use the gas as it's required and will then shut itself off and maintain on the electricity. After dual fuels, we then have mains on its own at 1 kilowatt and mains on its own at 2 kilowatt. So just depending on the ampage of the site that you're on to stop yourself from tripping. So we will now use main supply at 2 kilowatts. After that we then have the circulation fan for the heating system. So we can either have the fan in eco, we can have it in high, or we can boost it. If I now turn off the heating and then turn off the hot water, we can then go back to the circulation fan and we can put it into vent mode. This has a fan speed of 1 to 10. So on a warm day what you can do is just circulate the air within the caravan. If we then drop to the lower icons, this first one here is for a basic timer. So we literally pick a start time and then an end time, and then just literally set what we would like on within that time period. Once we've done all that, we can put the timer on or the timer off. If I now activate the timer icon will come up there, and then within that time period those settings would then apply. If I now turn the timer back off again, when we return to it we can obviously alter it again. If you're going to be using the timer, it helps if the clock's correct, and that's all this one here does. It literally just sets the time. And then the last one is your settings menu, and within that you have offset, which is just for the thermostat. If you don't think it's quite correct, you can just tweak it slightly. Temperature, just if you would prefer it to be displayed in Celsius or Fahrenheit. Brightness of the screen, 12 or 24 hour clock. Language, index, which is really for the technicians, it just lets them know what software is being run. And then lastly, full factory reset. From time to time you will get error codes appear on here. They will usually be basic stuff. So if you're trying to run the system on mains supply and you do not have mains connected, it will throw up an error code to let you know. Exactly the same with if you are running on gas and your gas is turned off or runs out, etc. 9 times out of 10, as long as you rectify the problem, the error code will just disappear and put itself out. If it is a gas code, you do have to wait 15 minutes before it will allow you to reset. Other error codes you can get are obviously overheat codes, etc., stuff like that, and again, as long as you wait for the boiler to cool down, it will automatically go out. If it doesn't automatically go out and you think you've rectified the problem and it's still not working, I do suggest just turning it on and off, and the way we turn it off is just by holding this button in here and then turning it back on again. And then if this doesn't work, you can always go into the settings menu and do a full factory reset. And sometimes, like any computer, they just glitch and need a reset. If we now go across to the bench seat just here that I already have raised, you will see in here we have the boiler itself just here, and then the boiler drain valve just here. These drain valves are automatic, so if the temperature within the caravan drops below 3 or 4 degrees, this drain valve will automatically open and drop all the water out of the boiler to frost protect itself. What you can obviously do for travel and for just full winterization is drain it manually, and the way we do this is make sure the water pump is turned off, twist this blue diamond, and when you twist it, this blue button will pop out. If I now twist it again and then push the blue button back in, the boiler valve will now reset, and then it's just a matter of literally making sure you've got water in your aqua roll, dropping your submersible in, turn your water pump on, and it will then refill. If this has auto drained, all that will happen is the blue button will just pop out and you just need to push it in to reset it. If you're pushing it in and it's just popping back out again, it's too cold in here, and you will need to turn your heating on to generate some heat to make it reset. If you are fully winterizing the caravan, once you've twisted this and begun draining off the boiler, I do then suggest that you then come to this lever here and flap it up as well. It will then help in draining off pipe work, releasing airlocks, etc. It's then also a good idea to then open up all your taps as well. Also in here we have 12 volt fuses, which are all labelled up, so if something's not working on 12 volt, just come in here and just check to see whether or not you've blown a fuse. And then we have the battery charger just here. Also in here we have the control board for the motor mover, so that just sits there. And then tucked just here we just have the pressure valve just there, so if you are getting surging water coming through your taps, etc., after you're fully primed up, you can slightly twist this. I do not suggest you twist it a heck of a lot because you can throw it all out of sync. Next we have the location for a stereo if you do want to add it. All the wiring's already in here. Aerial just all sits there as well. Beneath that we then have the media center, so we can connect this up to mobile phones, iPods, etc., USB sticks, anything like that. We turn it on just underneath, and then once we then do that, we then go into the Bluetooth settings, etc., and then search, and it will come up in your Bluetooth settings as Adria, and then connect up to it, and then you can play music through it wirelessly. Next we have the hob. Push in, twist, and press your igniter. Then we have the oven and the grill. So if we now push in and go to the left, we will now fire up the oven. And if I then go and push in and go to the right, we will then fire up the grill. Beneath this, you will see we have gas isolation taps here for the oven, hob, and heating and hot water. They're all in the on position and can quite frankly stay like that. I say they're more for maintenance than anything else. If you smell gas in the van, I always say go to the source and turn the gas bottle off. Above the sink we then have the microwave. The microwave is then plugged in just here. Will only work when hooked up to main supply. And then it's just a matter of selecting your time, start, stop just here. Next we have the fridge, on and off just here. If I now turn it back on again, you'll find that this fridge freezer unit is an automatic. So if we now press this button just here, you'll see the icon here begins to flash. If we now move the arrow keys, we can now select what we want. So if we put it on A for auto, and we now press here, temperature control just here. Because we're now on A for automatic and we're hooked up to main supply, it's now put us onto mains. If I ran outside now and unplugged this, it would then automatically attempt to fire itself up onto gas. And as soon as we hitch up to the tow vehicle and start the engine, it will then automatically put itself over to 12 volt maintain to keep itself cold. We can take it out of auto, but it's a bit redundant. So we can put it manually onto mains, manually onto 12 volt maintain, and then manually onto gas. But auto is the easiest one to have it on. And then we have a nice big fridge and freezer box just here. Beneath, you will find the gas isolation tap for the fridge. As we then move along, we have the shower cubicle just here. So we have mixer just here. Do make sure that the shower screen is closed for travel with the security latch over it. And if we now go into the washroom, you'll see the Thetford toilet just here. Open to the cassette just on the grey lever just here, and then push to flush just on the top, and then close back up again on the grey lever. If the grey lever has been left open and you try to remove the cassette, it will not come out. So if you're having trouble in removing, just check to see whether or not somebody's left the hatch open. Level indicator just here to let you know when the cassette needs emptying. And then we have basin just here. We have plenty of storage underneath the rear bed. And then if we come to this wardrobe here, you will find the television aerial just here. So to raise the mast, just undo this collar here and just slightly loosen off this one here, and we can then raise it up. This H here represents the back of the aerial. When stowing for travel, you need to make sure that this H is facing towards you. Once you've got your aerial up, you'll see actually on the digital amplifier just here we have a signal finder. So we're looking for a nice strong green light for a strong signal. Once you have that, then just slightly tighten. The H stands for horizontal. What we can also do by turning the tail is flip it on its side into the vertical position if you do need to do additional tuning. Do make sure though that you are back for horizontal for travel. And once we lower it, tighten back up again, but do not over tighten because you can split these plastic rings. Beneath the television aerial, tucked right at the very bottom, just down here, you will find the main strip switches. So if you're having trouble with main supply, just come in here just to check whether or not you've tripped.